I also think, right, when it comes to experiences, there's like this new definite, there's this new, I don't know if it's emergence, right, of like what like the next gen luxury looks like. And I think like next gen luxury is actually maybe the glamping community, quite frankly, is getting this more than anybody else right now. Is like next gen luxury is the idea of being able to be in a beautiful, stunning space, immersed in nature, and I think that like historically, it's really all been about like staying in five-star hotels. Like that's like the Ritz Carlton or like the Four Seasons. Like those are sort of like the quintessential examples of five-star, luxury. You got Amangari, right? Like you've got these examples of these incredible like high-end brands. But I actually think what's happening, right, is there's this new thing that's emerging, which you guys are really focused on, right? Which is, wow, people today really care about being immersed in beautiful spaces, but with all the comforts that they would find at, in a room at least at Four Seasons. And I think that that's really exciting. And I think that that's a direct response to this desire that consumers have for new experiences, right? The future of hospitality, I think, is thinking very creatively about how do you get people who are locked up in their rooms, in their offices, on Zoom calls for 8 to 10 hours a day. How do you get them to be immersed in nature? They're not going to go camping. Maybe some of them will. Most of them won't. But if you can give them an experience that is deeply immersed in nature, but with all the luxuries that they would expect at a nice hotel, they're going to opt for that over the Ritz downtown. Like they will. Like this is where things are going. So I think it's just really exciting to be a fly on the wall and see all the things that you guys are doing.
I saw that at Mendocino Grove all the time. Is like because Mendocino is such a small market, is that like all the rooms were in the same comp set, right? So it didn't
Ah, yeah.
matter if like Mendocino Grove was outdoor hospitality and there was maybe Soul Community Planet just started coming into town, right? So then finally we got some bigger brands kind of in the space, but a lot of it was like you're just choosing between Mendocino Grove or a bed and breakfast in town, right? So it was less. So
Yeah.
then you really got to start to learn what guests are responding to because glamping might have not have been their first choice.
The point about glamping being kind of hotel quality rooms in nature, kind of its core. I think that's what makes me really bullish about the long term future of the industry because there's always questions, particularly post pandemic, of was it a flash in the pan, was it just a trend, and there's always going to be those questions really until it really establishes itself as its own thing. But that's what makes me bullish is because mobile phone use, cell phone use is only going one way. Social media use is only going one way. Computer use is only going one way. People are actively seeking out nature, and even kind of people my sort of age, early to mid 20s, they're going for hikes on the weekend, whereas maybe 10, 20 years ago they would have been playing PlayStation in their room. Like you want that escape, you want to reconnect with nature, and I think that's what makes glamping, unique stays that focus on reconnecting with the natural world so exciting. And I think that's why the industry has got a hell of a lot of runway left, and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
Nick, do you have outdoor school in England?
I don't think so. I've never heard of it.
So outdoor school in the States, which I think like harkens back to this core memory for people, and I think this is why glamping and outdoor hospitality and unique stays, it's like as a third grader, I don't know what grade you do this in. I feel like it's very
I
young,
don't know
but
what grades are. How old's third grade?
let's see, like as a 10-year-old maybe.
Okay, that'd be like year 4, year 5. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So, but you literally go to like a bunkhouse in this outdoor education campus and you stay there for a week and you're all immersed in like learning about the nature and the terrain and these survival skills. And it's like for so many people that have access to outdoor school, like that memory is your first memory of like vacationing or experiential design because like as a kid, you're like, no, we've designed this experience for you for 5 days. You are going to learn about nature and all things outdoors. And I mean, we called it outdoor school back east, but I think it is something to tap into as far as like core memories for people. But that's like the most like curated design experience that most Americans are exposed to right away.
Well, yeah, I think it comes to people at different ages as well. Because if I'd gone on that outdoor school at 10 years old, I don't think I'd maybe this outdoor program is so amazing that I would have fallen in love with it straight away. But personally, I wasn't particularly outdoorsy. Like I played sport, but I wasn't. If my family suggested going for a walk in the countryside, I would have been fuming. Quite frankly, I had no interest in it whatsoever. But it's only kind of the last couple of years, really 3-4 years, where I spend a lot of time on my laptop working, and I don't get it outside as much as I like to. It's when you do, for example, I'll go to the mountains, 3 or 4 hours west of me, like, and you're just able to breathe and look around. And I'm going on a solo camping trip in a couple of weeks just to have that kind of reset. And I think that's come as maybe it's just me getting older and maturing, but also because as a kid, social media, when I was 10, social media didn't really exist for 10-year-olds. But now, you're doom scrolling all the time. So I think there's the sad fact of how much media consumes us today also creates a lot of opportunity and adds a lot of value to like nature-based escapes like glamping.
And what I really think it comes down to is it's just really difficult to think anymore, right? Like it's just, there's so many things that are better to do or even worse to do, right? Like, but you just can't think. There's no time to think because there's always something pulling at your attention. And I think when you are stripped away from your laptop, right, and or even if Wi-Fi is just a little slower, right, it's a little harder to access, or cell service is there, but it's a little harder to access, right? All of a sudden, you're forced to think. And that's really scary, actually, for a lot of people. But I think there is something to be said for why when people come back from a vacation, or they come back from some sort of like internet detox, why they often make a big pivot in their life, right? Like whether it's leaving a job, whether it's like getting a divorce, right? Like whether it's actually settling down with your partner, whether it's deciding, hey, you know what, like screw my boss, like I'm done, right? And just walking away, not even caring anymore. Like there's I can't remember where the study is. I should try to go find it, but like there's some study that talks about how like when people come back from a trip that they say was a relaxing trip, that there's often a life change associated with them upon return. And I really think that today, more so than ever before, the reason for that is just there is no time to think. And so the only time that you have to think is that when you're going out, staying in a really cool glamping structure, immersed in nature. Again, Wi-Fi is there, maybe internet's there, but it's harder to access. And for the first time in maybe years, right, you have to sit with your thoughts. And we should be more reflective as a species. Society would actually be a lot more better if all of us were a little bit more reflective. We're just not. And everything in our lives is working against that. So if you can be in the business of creating opportunities for reflection to happen, you're not just doing something great for people, like you're doing something great for society. And that's, I think, what's super exciting about Unique Stays and glamping. And again, really excited that people like you both are working to actively try to solve this problem for people. It's wildly exciting.